Hello, and thank you for joining us today as we explore a case study on leadership and diversity. Our group has chosen UC Davis for our organization for this project, and we look forward to sharing with you what we learned from the university with respect to diversity. We chose UC Davis because of its apparent strong commitment to diversity at all levels throughout the organization. So let's talk a little bit about UC Davis. The University of California, Davis, UC Davis, is a public university with their main campus located in Davis, California, about 20 minutes outside of Sacramento. UC Davis is one of 9 UC schools that offers undergraduate, graduate, and continuing education programs. The university has over 35,000 students enrolled, offers approximately 100 different majors and 100 graduate programs. They also bring in nearly $800 million annually in sponsored research and contributes at least $8 billion to the California economy each year. In August 2017, Gary S. May was hired as the 7th chancellor. Chancellor May is the first African American chancellor in UC Davis history. UC Davis appears to have a genuine commitment for diversity that goes beyond sloganism, as is demonstrated by their principles of community, which we will now discuss in greater detail. The principles of community have been guiding principles and commitments for the students, staff, and faculty at the university. In 2015, the principles of community were revised and reaffirmed, acknowledging the diversity represented at the university and their commitment to integration and inclusion of all people groups. As stated by the Office of Campus Community Relations, we confront and reject all manifestations of discrimination, including those based on race, ethnicity, gender and gender expression, age, visible and non-visible disability, nationality, sexual orientation, citizenship status, veteran status, religious, non-religious, spiritual, or political beliefs, socioeconomic class, status within or outside the university, or any of the other differences among people which have been excuses for misunderstanding, dissension, or hatred. Quite a mouthful, but I think through that statement you can see there really is a commitment to integration and inclusion of all people groups. The principles of community specifically outlines the expectation that community members are to treat each other with respect and dignity, as well as a commitment to learning from one another in a positive and courteous manner. The principles of community statements have been re-emphasized throughout the current UC Davis strategic plan, diversity and inclusion strategic vision, and the 2020 initiative. These documents, consistently referred to throughout the website, indicate various goals, initiatives, and metrics that the university intends on pursuing throughout the tenure of the current administration and beyond. The strategic plan outlines various goals associated with affordability, support for student communities, cultural awareness and inclusion, supporting staff advancement and retention, as well as staff training, among many others. The Diversity and Inclusion Strategic Vision aims to specifically address those initiatives that pertain to underrepresented minorities and persons of color. By realizing this vision, UC Davis will demonstrate its principles of value and respect for all those who work, live, and learn in our campus community. Lastly, the 2020 initiative specifically aims to build on the institution's excellence, creating a more diverse community of scholars and achieve financial stability. These plans, visions, and initiatives are woven together throughout cohesive language and values and indicate UC Davis's commitment to cultivating an environment that is welcoming and accommodating to all dimensions of diversity. Chancellor May spearheads this institution with a genuine posture of inclusion and diversity. And due to this commitment, it is somewhat surprising to see that UC Davis's organization chart indicates that women, underrepresented minorities, and persons of color are underrepresented in the chancellor, C-suite, dean, and executive leadership positions. So although diversity and inclusion is clearly communicated and valued throughout UC Davis artifacts, it seems as though implementation of such commitments is still fully being realized. This graph provides a visual representation of the diversity makeup of UC Davis with respect to students, staff, and faculty related to the general population statistics of California. The first bar on the left represents the state of California diversity percentages. The first color at the bottom represents American Indian, the orange, Asian, gray, black, yellow, Hispanic, light blue, other or unknown, green, white, and dark blue, international. The remaining bars represent the various student, staff, and faculty positions. Most notably are the greater percentages of whites in 5 of the position categories as compared to the state of California. However, there are higher levels of Asian populations in 5 of the position categories. It is clear that the academic federation and academic senate positions within the university are overall underrepresented by minorities. After examining various demographics amongst many of the UC Davis populations, our data reveals that UC Davis struggles to exemplify diversity within its upper ranks. We found this to be contrary to its reiterated narrative of diversity inclusion. However, we understand that implementation of such diversity and inclusion requires time, and we encourage UC Davis to continue striving for diversity at all levels within the organization. In our research, we found 2 civil rights cases that have had an impact on UC Davis's policies. The first was a civil rights discrimination case that challenged affirmative action law, the Regents of University of California versus Bach in 1978. In this lawsuit, Alan Bach, a white male in his mid-30s, sued the University of California after being denied admission to the medical school at the college's campus in the city of Davis. Once discovering the school had reserved seats for people of color, Bach sued the university for reverse discrimination. The medical school had reserved 16 of 100 enrollments for minorities. This was an important case to clarify the intention of affirmative action programs. Regents of the University of California versus Bach established a pragmatic means of reconciling well-intentioned quota and affirmative action programs with the Constitution's protection of equality. Racial quotas are always unconstitutional, but affirmative action programs may be constitutional if race is considered as one of many admission factors and used to remedy past findings of discrimination and promote diversity. Once an institution with affirmative action, UC eliminated race as a criteria in admissions for the fall of 1998. This followed Proposition 209, passed by the state in 1996, which prohibited any racial preference to be acknowledged in all state-funded agencies. This led to a downturn in minority students and underrepresented populations throughout the University of California campuses, including Davis. Since this time, the university has worked to implement clear strategies to attract minority students and promote diversity. Another civil rights case that impacted UC Davis was Baker versus Katehi, better known as the pepper spraying case. On November 18, 2011, students at UC Davis were peacefully protesting when the school brought in law enforcement that resulted in students being pepper sprayed while quietly sitting on the ground in front of the school. The lawsuit charged that UC Davis administration officials set in motion a series of events that they should have known would result in constitutional violations against the demonstrators, and that they and the campus police department failed to properly train and supervise officials. The lawsuit notes that the university's response to seated and student protesters amounted to unacceptable and excessive force that violates state and federal constitutional protections, including the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Since this has happened, UC Davis has made improvements to ensure students are safe in sharing their voice. As a result, there has been the establishment of 2 committees: the Freedom of Expression Committee, which reviews campus policies regarding freedom of expression on campus, and the Administrative Oversight Committee, which supervises the advancement of the administration in implementing the suggestion from these reports. After a full review of the diversity initiatives being exercised by UC Davis, we have 2 recommendations. First, we recommend that UC Davis should sustain their public communication efforts that they are currently committed to. This commitment is identified as goal number 4 in their diversity strategic vision. Their goal is to promote diversity and inclusion in research, teaching, public service, and training across campus and in neighboring communities. As our group began researching these initiatives, we found that this information was readily available to us, which demonstrates that this goal is more than words on a page. They're making it a reality by actively working towards communication across UC Davis and out in the community. Additionally, we have further firsthand evidence that their commitment holds true as an employer and community organization. Jennifer Keller is employed by UC Davis and can attest to the fact that UC Davis holds true to this particular goal of communicating a commitment to diversity. Kelly Jacobson lives in the neighboring community that UC Davis refers to in this goal and can also support the claims that they are promoting diversity across the community. Our group did identify one particular area where the school could benefit from improvement. Goal number 2 of the Diversity Strategic Plan is to identify, attract, retain, and graduate a diverse student body. While this goal is identified, UC Davis has yet to realize the outcome of the goal. Our recommendation is to hold individual departments accountable for the school's commitment to diversity. They can do this by ensuring they are recruiting employees from diverse areas by connecting with them directly where they're at. For example, Pitney Bowes is a well-known organization whose organizational culture was built with the principle of diversity. Their recruiting efforts include advertising in publications targeted to the diverse community, forming external partnerships and alliances with organizations that represent a diverse talent pool, and sponsoring diversity-related events and causes. Another interesting initiative of Pitney Bowes is requiring each business unit have a diversity leadership council. UC Davis should consider a similar program that would ensure each department is being held accountable to attracting and retaining a diverse student body and workforce. There's no denying that all UC campuses and its visionaries continually rank among the top organizations to implement a culture of inclusiveness. UC Davis's continued commitment to diversity is on the cutting edge of evolutionary policies, which seek to close exclusionary gaps. We admire the courage and tenacity of UC Davis as they represent and vigorously champion the rights and dignity of students and employees from all walks of life. UC Davis best exemplifies a multicultural spirit that lives and breathes within the halls of all University of California campuses. We optimistically look towards the future as UC Davis begins to further implement and exemplify their commitment to diversity.